I just was astonished. I don't know how this happened.
I have never seen a door open by itself.
Holy cow. Oh my goodness. My ghost story began when I entered the crypt of the Evergreen Cemetery. I moved to Colorado Springs in 1993. I currently work for the Department of Defense, Department of the Air Force, but my passion is the Evergreen Cemetery. I first went to the Evergreen Cemetery in 2001 to view the walking tour.
I've worked at Evergreen Cemetery for about 19 years as the cemetery manager. We have about 80,000 people buried there today. During the walking tours, I take people through the chapel. Mike has been in the cemetery hundreds of times, and he's led tours.
There are a number of reports of different noises that people have heard. When I take people on the tours in the cemetery at nighttime, it's dark except for the flashlights that we have there. There's no lights for miles around. And we have seen a flying figure passing over a group of tombstones. It was about 5 foot in length. It looks like it was leaping, but it wasn't touching the ground at all. So there was no sound, nothing but this cat-like individual.
Mike's a little more into the paranormal than I am. I'm kind of a big believer that dead is dead. But I also understand that there is a lot of things in our world that we can't explain, and whether our place is a magnet for that, I don't know. When you go in the front doors of the chapel, the first thing you see is all the beautiful stained glass. But off to your right, as you enter, you'll see a fenced enclosure and a big hole. And if you look down that hole, you'll see the casket lift. Back 100 years ago, if they couldn't bury in the wintertime, there was room in the chapel vaults in the basement to store up to 30 caskets. They would need a way to actually physically bring the casket up from the basement into the body of the chapel.
Sometimes, if a casket wasn't afforded, they laid it on the slab itself. So when some of the bodies were put there in the crypt, the bloating would occur, and they'd take these bloating balls and put them on the abdomen to try to force the bloat out of the orifices that the body had, and they were left there on the body for a number of weeks. There's stains on some of the slabs where the body fluids did seep out.
A lot of the activity in the chapel has been by the casket lifting device and there by the stairs in the chapel. I have had 2 separate ladies on 2 separate occasions have a similar experience when they walked down into the basement of the chapel. As they came down the stairs, they felt like a cold blast negativity went through them. They came to the bottom of the stairs where all the vault rooms are, and they were just very uncomfortable. The fact that they could have the same experience at different times in the same part of the building is totally uncanny.
Will told me about this one area of the chapel where there's a lot of activity. I went down there myself with my K2 meter and actually started getting some anomalies, some actual readings there near the staircase.
I was just kind of like, well, isn't that kind of weird? On the particular day that I was there with Mike, he had his video camera.
I was videotaping, kind of panning through the crypt area, showing the different locations.
The chapel vaults are big rooms with slate shelves, about 4 inches thick. They all have these wooden doors on them. They're about 100 years old. They're very heavy.
I started focusing and looking for activity on the K2 meter. That was my whole intention. And about a minute in or so, I had a strange feeling. My skin was crawling a little bit, and just something didn't feel right. So I turned my head, and as I did, one of the wood doors of the crypts came open. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. Did you see that? I came down looking for one thing, and we got something completely different. Wow.
I have never seen a door open by itself, and I've been in the chapel many, many times. Any hour you could imagine, any season, I've never seen anything like that.
Knowing that the doors were so heavy, I wondered how had that just happened. The basement was very calm down there, there was no wind, and without stopping the video, I kind of walked over to the door itself to show There's nothing here. There's no wires. There's no rope. No wires. Look, there's no wires. I had no idea this was going to happen. Look, nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Look, nothing, nothing, nothing. I mean, I just kind of panned all around the crypt door, showing the inside of the crypt. There was nobody inside. I said, this just opened. I don't know how this happened. There's nobody in here. Nobody up here. I kind of backed away a little bit, and then the crypt door started closing. Look at this. It's closing. Holy cow. I've been down in the crypts many times. Nothing has ever happened to me like that before. I've never seen any of the doors even move.
A lot of times they'll stick, so sometimes they're even difficult to just open. And the fact that it just kind of swang open and just real quietly, no creaking or anything, it really caught us by surprise.
I have read a number of times, if an entity or spirit wants to make its presence known, they will try to pick a heavy object and move it in such a way that you notice it. Well, that was a very heavy object, and I really noticed it. I wanted to make sure that people saw this was not a hoax, so I actually brought 2 people from a radio station down to see if they could possibly debunk it. They saw the video. I said, can you duplicate this? And they tried. First, they stood outside the crypt and tried to push it from the outside, and it took maybe 4 or 5 attempts to get the door to even open all the way. Then one person actually got inside the crypt and tried to push the crypt like there would be a spirit or body trying to push out on that thing. And the door went about a quarter of the way.
Since that occurrence, I've been picking my brain, trying to figure out how it worked. To this day, I just don't have a good explanation for it. I'm really wondering, is there more than what's here? If anything, I've learned that death is something that we're all going to experience. Working at the cemetery, facing death all the time, makes you appreciate life a whole lot more. And you know that you're here one moment, you can be gone the next.
I would say to people who don't believe in spirits or that this happened, give it time. This is paranormal, and it's something besides the wind pushed that crypt door. What it was, I have no idea. All I know is it just wasn't from this world.